No way he just said this. A New York Yankee rival who played very well against them in the playoffs just gave a scathing indictment of the Yankees, which has fans concerned for multiple different reasons regarding the team, specifically because he played for them, so he does know the inside of the Yankees quite well. And this does have fans a little bit worried. We're going to go over why fans are worried about the recent comments from a longtime New York Yankee on the team, and we are going to break all this down, guys. But real quick, if you are not subscribed to the channel and are part of that 73% that's not subscribed to Yankees Digest, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. We have daily videos coming out all the time on Yankees Digest, multiple videos every single day that you don't want to miss out on. This channel has been a bunch of fun, and with free agency and the offseason kicking off, there is a lot to go over on the Yankees right now. There's going to be a lot of news coming out, and this is the place to be for all updates, as we're going to be getting the updates out very, very quickly, especially when signings come on. You will see me and Alex doing some videos together as well. But here's the deal with the New York Yankees. They just got a absolutely scathing indictment, not from him. He did nothing wrong. However, this guy definitely did. And we're going to go over that because there is a lot to talk about on the situation. A lot of you guys do recognize him, and you would, if you didn't, you recognize him in this photo. Aroldis Chapman, former closer for the New York Yankees, who spent parts of 7 seasons with the team, just gave a scathing indictment on the Yankees that does have fans concerned for one specific reason, especially because with free agency kicking off, there are going to be a whole lot of players who are finding themselves in talks with the Yankees. And now if they're friends with Aroldis Chapman, we really have to be aware that these comments can hinder the Yankees. Now, going over what Chapman said about the Yankees, he said, I dealt with a lot of disrespect with the Yankees. I put up with a lot of things I knew that they just wanted to find a way to get rid of me. But they didn't know how, and I just dealt with it quietly, kept playing and doing what I always do. I got along well with other players, never had a problem with anybody. Even the manager. We're friends and we talk and everything. The bosses are the ones who make those decisions. So Chapman going out there and saying, look, it's not Aaron Boone, it's not Aaron Judge, it's none of the players of the Yankees who I remember as teammates. However, that front office, though, that is a little bit different. That front office consists mainly of Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman are the two guys who Aroldis Chapman is most likely really talking about, specifically Cashman, as Cashman is the guy who trades people. Now, obviously, Hal Steinbrenner wanting guys gone will certainly lead to him being involved in trade talks as well, but this is more specifically about Brian Cashman and the whole trading him thing. I mean, Chapman did get traded off the Yankees once for Gleyber Torres in 2016. The Yankees were struggling to put together wins and decided to have a fire sale, and Chapman got the best end of that as he ended up getting traded to the Chicago Cubs to be their closer, and wouldn't you know it, Chapman was the guy who closed out the final game and helped record the final out for the Chicago Cubs when they won the 2016 World Series. So it's not like things went poorly for Aroldis Chapman the one time the Yankees actually traded him away. Now, on top of that, Chapman is coming off a complete and utter bounce-back season. The man had a whip of 0.701 in 67 appearances. He had 32 saves at a 1.17 ERA. The man was phenomenal, did Aroldis Chapman things, got right back to the guy who he's always been. It's absolutely insane to see this man still perform like this. Who would have thought this was coming? I certainly would not have expected this out of Chapman. However, he also put the Yankees through a lot of grief at his time with the Yankees. Now, first of all, he played phenomenally. His final 2 years were not as good, specifically as last year. He really started to fall off a cliff, stopped closing games as much, and the Yankees did start to look in other directions because the lack of success that Chapman brought to the team, also dealing with some injuries. But Chapman, for his career, had an ERA of 2.94 and had 453 strikeouts and 153 saves with the Yankees. He was the closer who took over for this team pretty soon after Mariano Rivera left, and he became their longtime closer. The Yankees loved Chapman. After he did win the World Series with the Cubs, the Yankees turned around and instantly gave him a contract, bringing him back to the team, where he spent a whole lot of time having excellent season after excellent season with the Yankees, throwing fireballs, establishing a splitter into his game, and again, just having really the chunk of his career that he's mostly remembered for. Like, yeah, he was on Cincinnati before then. He was one of the best closers in the league, but he's usually remembered in pinstripes because of his long tenure as an elite Yankee closer. Now, with all that being behind us, there are a lot of questions surrounding Chapman. Everything Yankees also talked about is saying, in Aroldis Chapman's time as a Yankee, he didn't show up to a mandatory workout ahead of the playoffs because he wasn't guaranteed a roster spot in the 2022 playoffs when he was struggling. He got a new tattoo during the season that became infected and was put on the 15-day IL during the season, that is. He hurt the team's postseason chances catastrophically in 2019, 2020, and 2022, and the feeling is very much mutual that nobody wants Chapman back on the Yankees, and that is the truth here. Look, Chapman's time with the Yankees, obviously the man was a great player, but it also was filled with a bunch of controversy surrounding Chapman that ultimately did lead the Yankee fans to really be okay with when he left, especially after the poor performance. Now, obviously, seeing him play well is a bit bittersweet, but still, at the same time, a whole lot of stuff to really look at here. And the comments, the replies to this post as well, show even more indictments of Chapman. I mean, saying, hilarious that this guy thought the Yankees would ever consider bringing him back after he outright quit on the team and went MIA for a while. And also, as one fan mentions, the controversy where he was almost in some serious suspension from the MLB when the Yankees were able to get Chapman for a very good deal after a trade was canceled because of Chapman's off-the-field issues and stuff like that obviously played a part into things. The Yankees looked past that, gave Chapman contract after contract after contract, gave him a lot of money, and Chapman ultimately was able to establish himself and sort of erase that past. However, now with the Yankees, he's calling them out too. There's a lot to think about with Aroldis Chapman and his MLB career thus far. But the Yankees, we could talk a lot about their bullpen as well. Look, here's the thing. The Yankees could have used Chapman this year, a left-hander who could have really dealt and been their closer after the Yankees' closer situation was a nightmare this year. The Yankees, one of 12 teams to be in postseason baseball, got to the ALDS, lost in 4 games to the Toronto Blue Jays, who are currently down in or tied in the World Series, depending on what happens during tonight's game. I am filming this right before the game starts, so we are going to see. But the Yankees, they ultimately had a 6.15 ERA out of their bullpen. Their pen sucked. It's one of the reasons why they were unable to get anywhere and why it kind of felt like there was a ceiling on this Yankees team from the postseason. There was no real reliable arms outside of David Bednar. Now, Devin Williams did perform excellently in the postseason, which he does deserve mentioning of. And when we just look at the Yankees bullpen from last season, we see a lot of these names that are going to be gone. I mean, I would not bet on Luke Weaver to return to the Yankees, though it's ultimately very possible. Bednar will stick around. He'll be here. Camilo Duvall will definitely be here. Outside of that, it's a bunch of questions. I mean, Jake Cousins, if he comes back from injury, that'll be interesting. Tim Hill, I would expect the Yankees to keep, but it's not a guarantee by any means. Jonathan Loaizaga, it kind of feels like he'll be gone. Fernando Cruz, the Yankees will be trying to keep and likely will succeed because he only has a few years of MLB experience. Paul Blackburn's likely gone. Brent Hedrick is younger, so there's always the chance that he sticks around. And then Ryan Yarbrough is definitely a question mark. Meanwhile, guys like Devin Williams, their best acquisition in the offseason in regards to their bullpen, he likely won't be back. There's a lot of interest from the Miami Marlins about Devin Williams, and I actually do expect him to end up there or end up wherever he gets the biggest contract. So we'll see exactly how all that is going to turn out. But frankly, the Yankees bullpen is a huge area where they need to consider moving forwards and getting a lot more talented over this offseason. I truly believe outside of shortstop and third base where the Yankees should look for contact hitters who can run the bases. I mean, even keeping the Volpe Caballero situation at shortstop doesn't bother me. This is nothing against Ryan McMahon, who I like as a platoon player for this team, but I want the Yankees to go out there and get an elite contact bat. That's just frankly the situation here. I want an elite contact bat who can run the bases. I want a 300 hitter hitting at the top of the first, hitting as the leadoff hitter, no matter if it's a lefty or a righty, just based off how good their contact is. And I prefer it to be a righty, so Cody Bellinger is in the 2-hole, and then he has that Aaron Judge protection with Judge in the 3-hole. Obviously, that does mean I want the Yankees to re-sign Bellinger. I expect the Yankees to re-sign Bellinger over acquiring Kyle Tucker. I do think the Yankees will offer Kyle Tucker a contract. I just expect Bellinger to be their main guy. I do think Tucker will likely end up somewhere. I mean, Philly makes a ton of sense for him, so we're going to see exactly what happens there. There are going to be a bunch of different teams that do show interest in Tucker as well. I expect the Toronto Blue Jays to show interest in him, and we could go all day for all this Kyle Tucker conversation. But instead, the bullpen definitely is a huge area that I do want to see the Yankees fix, and ultimately I do think they're going to be aggressive with it. They know they have a closer in Devin Williams, and I do believe Carlos LaGrange, their number 2 prospect in their system right now, is their future closer, but there are going to be a lot more names that I do imagine the Yankees are going to be willing to spend money on in free agency, and we're going to go over that in a bunch of upcoming videos as well throughout the rest of the offseason and stuff, and throughout free agency, we're going to talk a lot about that. So make sure you stay tuned to see some of those, including all the other Yankees updates that we will be giving every single day. So make sure you're subscribed, like this video, turn on post notifications. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, guys. It's Wednesday. Get over the hump day. You're so close to Halloween, man. I don't know if you care, but it's a Friday anyway, so that's great. Go Yankees.